Hi, welcome back. You've learned how to cast on, you've learned the knit stitch, and you've learned the purl stitch. Now, how do you get this mess of knitting off of your needles? Well, I'm going to teach you a quick, easy way to what they call bind off. Binding off is getting the yarn off of the needles and into project form. This is my swatch that I've knit and purled a few rows of. What I'm going to do is put my needle in the front as if I'm making a knit stitch, and that's exactly what I'm going to do. I'm going to pull around the right hand side. I'm going to pull a needle stitch off. Then I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to knit 2 stitches. Now what do? I have 2 stitches on my right hand needle. The remaining 8 are on my left hand needle. I'm going to take the bottom of these 2 stitches using my left hand needle, and I'm going to pull it over the top of that second top stitch. What I've done is bound off 1 stitch. Now I have 1 stitch on my right hand needle. I'm going to knit a stitch off of my left hand needle. So now I have 2 stitches on my right hand needle again. I'm going to take this bottom stitch and pull it over the top of the top stitch. So now I have 2 bound off stitches. You can see how this is going to go. It's just a simple process of repeating. I'm pulling out some yarn out of my ball of yarn so that I have some yarn to work with. I'm going to knit 1 stitch so that I have 2 stitches on the needle. I'm going to put my left hand needle through that bottom stitch and just pull it over the top of my right hand of my top stitch. I'm going to knit a stitch. I'm going to put my left hand needle in that bottom stitch and just pull it over the top stitch. Knit a stitch. Put your left hand needle in the bottom stitch, pull it right over the top stitch. As you can see, you're starting to get an edge here. That's exactly what you want. Knit a stitch, put your left hand needle in the bottom stitch, pull it over the top stitch. Oh, got a little confused there. Sometimes you have to pull out yarn and kind of make it look neat again. That's okay. Knit a stitch, pull it over the top of the top stitch, knit a stitch, put that left hand needle through the bottom stitch, pull it over the top stitch. 1 stitch left. Woohoo! There you go. So now what you have is 1 loop left. What you'll do, and I'm not going to do it in this video because I want to reuse this yarn, is you're going to clip that piece of yarn. And what you'll do is you'll take that end and draw it right through. And you'll have an end. You'll weave in your end. That's relatively easy. And you'll have a piece of knitting that is bound off. I hope you've enjoyed this series. I wanted to give you a little glimpse into how to knit and purl. I had a request from a subscriber of how to knit and purl. So that's why I did this series. Have a great time. I hope you see me on a regularly scheduled broadcast. I'm Knitter CNY signing off.